Good morning and welcome to Committee Ways and Means. Committee Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Assembly members Anderson, Backus, Brown May, Digman, Hafen, Hibbets, Haudegi, Koenig, Muska, O'Neill, Torres Fawcett, Watts, Yeager, and Chair Monroe Moreno.
And I am here. Good morning to everyone joining us here in Carson City and those in Las Vegas and those online. We have a few bills to be heard today. We will not get through everything during the morning session. We'll be taking a break to go to floor, then we have IFC, and then we will come back later. We're at that time of session where we'll have long ways days. We will have public comment. That'll be at the end of our final meeting. And if you'd like to call in for public comment, that number is 888-475-4499. The meeting ID is 860-727-92434. I'll remind everyone to either turn off or mute your electronic devices. Members will be following along on their laptops. I expect respectful and polite interaction. Sometimes during hearings, we hear things that we don't like, but we will be respectful of each other, and interactions with the committee will be respectful, and committee members will be respectful with the public. And if not, I have absolutely no problem removing people from my committee meetings, and that includes members. We will have a bill hearing later today that will be the policy hearing as well as fiscal hearing. That will be on AB 485. All other bills on our 584, excuse me. All other bills on our agenda are just here for their fiscal hearing, not the policy. They've had a policy hearing in the policy committee. There may be a question that we need to get to for the fiscal aspect of that policy, but you're just here for the fiscal hearing. We will be taking bills out of order today. We have some budget bills that we need to get to the floor, and we're going to start with those, and then we'll go back to the regular agenda. So the first bill that we will have will be Assembly Bill 591. Which makes various changes regarding state financial administration and makes appropriations to the support of the civil government of the state, and invites staff to the table. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. Nancy Morris from the Fiscal Analysis Division, joined by Mr. Alex Hartz. The Appropriations Act was previewed as a BDR last night, and the bill as AB 591 has no substantive changes from the BDR. The Appropriations Act implements budget decisions made by the money committees for state general fund and highway funded budgets, as well as back language to implement money committee decisions related to appropriated funding. The total general fund appropriations in the bill for fiscal year 2026 are $4.209 billion, and in fiscal 27 are $4.344 billion. The total highway fund appropriations in the bill in fiscal year 26 are $198.3 million, and in fiscal year 27 are $201.7 million. And we are available for any questions.
Thank you so much. Members, we heard this BDR overview last night before going to our final session on the floor. And you had an opportunity to look through that BDR overnight, do a more deeper dive. Does anyone have any questions on Assembly Bill 591? Not seeing any. All right. I asked the speaker for permission to waive the rules and work session Assembly Bill 591. And I received that permission. Yeah, I will. So please know that we will be doing the work session on 491, 492, and 583, which is another bill that we heard yesterday on PEP. So just know that you will be making 3 votes this morning. So 591, 592, and 483. Those will be the three bills we'll be doing work session on. 583. So without any questions, I'll thank you so much for presenting, and we will invite to the testimony table here in Carson City and in Las Vegas anyone that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 591. Not seeing anyone come to the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas, we're going to go to the phone lines and see if we have anyone that would like to provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 591.
If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 591, please press *9 to join the queue. Chair, we have no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to opposition. Is there anyone here in Carson City or in Las Vegas that would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 591? And not seeing anyone come to the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas, we'll go again to the phone line. Do we have anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 591?
To provide testimony in opposition to Assembly Bill 591, please press *9 now to join the queue. Chair, we have no callers choosing to testify.
Thank you. Then we'll go to the neutral. If there's anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 591, I invite you to the table. And seeing no one approach the table here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we'll go one last time to the phone line. Do we have anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 591?
To provide neutral testimony for Assembly Bill 591, please press *9 now to join the queue. Chair, there are no callers for neutral testimony.
Thank you so much. Then we'll ask the presenters if they have any closing comments on this bill. And seeing none, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 591. And we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 592 and invite staff to the table. 592 revises provisions relating to the compensation of state employees. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Jamie Mangoba from the Fiscal Analysis Division. AB 592, among all other things, establishes the maximum allowed salaries for certain state employees and revises provisions relating to the compensation of employees of the Senate and Assembly. Staff provided a walkthrough of this bill in BDR form S1229 yesterday, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Members, again, this was a BDR walkthrough that we had yesterday evening, afternoon, at one of our many meetings yesterday. And you had an opportunity to take the bill draft home to look through the bill. Does anyone have any questions on what is now AB 592? All right, not seeing any. Thank you so much. And we will invite up to the table anyone that is here to testify in support of Assembly Bill 592. And not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City or at the table in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone line. Do we have anyone joining us by phone that would like to provide testimony in support of AB 592?
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 592, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for support.
Thank you so much. We'll move to opposition. Is there anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 592? Not seeing anyone at the table here in Carson City or at the table in Las Vegas, we'll go again to the phone line to see if there's anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 592.
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 592, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for opposition.
Thank you so much. So we'll move to neutral. If there's anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 592, I invite you to the tables. And not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone line one last time to see if we have anyone who's joined us that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 592.
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 592, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you so much. We'll ask the presenters if they have any closing remarks. I'm assuming no. All right, then we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 592. Members, we will move to the work session for the 3 bills that I mentioned at the top of our session. We will be work sessioning AB 591, AB 592, and AB 583. And with that, we'll turn the mic over to our Chief Fiscal Analyst, Ms. Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Assembly Bill 591 was walked through last night as a BDR and was just heard a few minutes ago. It makes appropriations to the State General Fund and the State Highway Fund for the support of civil government of the state of Nevada for the 2025 to 27 biennium and provides for the use of the monies so appropriated. Madam Chair, there are no amendments recommended for this bill.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kaufman. Members, you've heard the statement from our Chief Fiscal Analyst on this bill. Is there any discussion on AB 591? Not seeing any, I'll accept a motion.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion from Assembly Member Bacchus, a second from Assembly Member Hadigi. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. And I will assign that floor statement to Vice Chair Bacchus. Moving on to the next item on the work session will be Assembly Bill 592. We'll turn the mic over to our Chief Fiscal Analyst.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Assembly Bill 492 was just heard a few minutes ago in Ways and Means. It establishes the maximum allowed salaries for certain state employees, and it revises provisions relating to the compensation of employees for the Senate and the Assembly. Madam Chair, there are no amendments for this particular budget bill.
Thank you. Members, you've heard the overview of Assembly Bill 592. And is there any discussion on the bill? Not seeing any, I'll accept a motion to approve AB 592.
I'll move to do pass.
Yes, do pass. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion to do pass from Assembly Member Bacchus, a second from Assembly Member Hadigi. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion carries. And I will assign that floor statement to Assembly Member Mosca. Moving on to the next bill in our work session, it's a bill that we heard yesterday in this committee, Assembly Bill 583, and we will turn the mic over to our fiscal analyst, Ms. Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As indicated, Assembly Bill 583 was heard yesterday, May 19th, 2025. It includes provisions that establish the state's subsidies and contributions towards active employees and retiree health care costs provided through the Public Employees Benefit Program. Madam Chair, there are no amendments recommended for this bill.
Members, any questions? Not seeing any, I'll accept a motion to do pass.
Motion to pass.
We have a motion from Assembly Member Bacchus, a second from Assembly Member Hadigi. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. And I will assign that floor statement to Assemblymember Watts. Thank you. And thank you to all of our fiscal staff that was here. We truly appreciate all the hard work you all have been doing this entire session to get us to this point. And we will move on back to our agenda. And we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 186. It's a measure which revises provisions governing pharmacists. Good morning and welcome to Ways and Means.
Good morning. I'm Assemblymember David Orentlicker, representing District 20 on the southeast side of Las Vegas. Thank you for the opportunity to present Assembly Bill 186. This bill, I'll say very briefly, responds to a concern we've heard much about, the shortage of doctors and other healthcare professionals in Nevada. We need thousands more doctors, nurses, and other practitioners, even to reach the national average. With such a serious shortage, it's essential that Nevadans receive the full benefits that our existing healthcare workforce can provide. We need to ensure that our healthcare professionals can practice to the full extent of their expertise and skill set. Unfortunately, that's not always the case, and one area in which we unduly limit what health professionals can do is pharmacy services. The expertise and skill set of pharmacists go well beyond what our laws allow them to do currently. This bill is designed to allow Nevadans to benefit more fully from the expertise and skills that our state's pharmacists possess by allowing pharmacists to diagnose and treat simple problems like strep throat, pink eye, cold sores. Of course, expanding health care access has fiscal implications, hence the fiscal note. Fortunately, the lion's share of funding will come from federal matching dollars. And the Division of Healthcare Finance and Policy has identified a potential source of existing funds for the state share from the prescription drug rebate benefit account or budget account. And even more fortunately, fiscal staff are here to answer questions. So that's my presentation. I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, are there any questions? Assemblymember Dickman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for this bill. Could you just talk a little bit more about, you said there was federal money that could cover some of this?
Good morning, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Ann Jensen. I'm an agency manager here at Nevada Medicaid. And yes, that's correct. For all of our Medicaid benefits that are part of federal regulation, that are covered by federal law, we receive matching dollars from the federal government that will supplement the state share, as Assemblymember Orentlicker mentioned. So that represents the federal portion of this bill.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you so much for that question, Assemblymember Dickman. And with the uncertainty that we hear on a daily basis coming out of Washington, D.C., do you anticipate or have you heard of anything that would impact the statement that you just made of those federal matching dollars?
Madam Chair, committee members, Ann Jensen for the record. At this time, no. This aligns with our federal regulations as currently stated.
Thank you. And then, Assemblyman Orentlicker, there was a fiscal note that was submitted on the original bill, and then there has been an adjusted fiscal note from the Department of Health and Human Services Healthcare Financing Policy. If they could just speak a little bit more to this amended fiscal note, that would be great.
Absolutely. Good morning. Madam Chair, committee members, Ann Jensen for the record. That is correct. We were able to identify some additional savings as we investigated how best our pharmacists would align with services that physicians are currently offering. So we believe it's a fairly extensive ramp-up period of 18 months, but at the end of that time, we believe up to 65% of these particular subset of lab services that are not currently available for pharmacists to bill for, they would be billed by pharmacists instead of physicians, which represents the savings numbers that you see allocated. So happy to answer any additional questions on those numbers as you have them.
And Assemblyman Ornlicker, you had presented an amendment, and so the bill had gone to reprint. Could you just confirm that the implementation costs of the program would align with the revised fiscal note, assuming the necessary resources would be provided to support the provisions in the bill as it's currently amended?
Assemblymember Ornlicker, yes, that's correct. The amendment, are you referring to the co-sponsor? Yeah, that wouldn't change the fiscal.
Well, I got that amendment this morning as I walked in, but during your hearing in the Commerce and Labor Committee, the bill was amended coming out of that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, committee members, Ann Jensen for the record. The adjusted fiscal note represents the original text. The reprint one does not impact Medicaid's fiscal note for this bill. So implementation costs would remain the same.
Okay, so with the amendment, the fiscal note would be $295,391 in FY 25-26, and then for fiscal year 26-27, it's $571,860 with.
Madam Chair, committee members, Ann Jensen for the record. That was the original totals. The updated totals posted on Nellis are $1,072,710 total computable for fiscal year 25-26, and $1,187,541 in fiscal year 26-27. And I'm happy to share the state totals portion of that if it's helpful as well.
Assembly Member Bacchus.
Thank you so much, Chair, for that. I guess we're trying to figure out. So we have now the two figures, the $1 million in each fiscal year, and then we understand there could be federal funds, and I'm not sure if this gets after the programs reared up, but we have that there could be federal matching dollars of $2,053,000. Does that cover a considerable portion of the amounts that are set forth in the fiscal note? Can you kind of explain that a little better, or is that going to the next biennium? Just trying to figure out where we're getting, like what it's going to be out of the state general fund at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Madam Chair, committee members, Ann Jensen for the record. Thank you for that question. That's correct. So the state general fund impact will be $296,752 in fiscal year 26 and $287,774 in fiscal year 27. So that total portion of $2 million that you referenced for the federal share represents the federal contributions over this upcoming biennium, fiscal year 26 and 27. Does that clarify your question?
That is much appreciated, because I think from our side, when we're looking at this, it looked like the fiscal note went up quite a bit. But we knew there was this offset, so we just needed to just figure out what the general fund impact would be. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? All right, not seeing any other questions from the committee. If you can take a step back, and we'll invite to the table anyone that's here to testify in support of Assembly Bill 186. Good morning and welcome to Ways.
Good morning, Chair Monroe Moreno, members of the committee. My name is Jennifer Lanahan, JenniferLanahan. I'm here on behalf of the Nevada Pharmacy Alliance to urge you to prioritize funding for AB 186. AB 186 is not just smart policy, it's smart economics. It allows trained pharmacists to prescribe for minor and previously diagnosed conditions, which expands healthcare access without compromising safety. If you look at the exhibits on Nellis, you'll see that this is a highly supported bill by pharmacists, pharmacies, patient advocacy groups, federally qualified health centers, and other healthcare professionals. AB 186 is a cost-effective, patient-centered solution, and we urge you to prioritize funding and help modernize Nevada's healthcare system to meet the needs of our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Liz McMiniman, Retail Association in Nevada. Thank you very much for bringing this bill forward and having this discussion. I think it's much needed. We have, for many sessions now, looked at trying to broaden the scope of what a pharmacist can do within their scope of training and bringing them up to where they need to be. 90% of the Americans live within 5 miles of a pharmacy, making the pharmacist some of the most accessible healthcare providers in the country, whether it's late or night, over the weekend, or in rural communities with limited health care options. I believe this bill will address some of the shortages that we have discussed for many, many sessions now, and I appreciate the committee bringing this forward to talk about the fiscal impact and how it's going to help. And if Nevada, when this bill passes, I'm going to be very positive here, once this bill passes, Nevada will be the 23rd state that has allowed pharmacists to practice to the scope of their training. So I appreciate the time, keep it brief, and want to just thank you again for having us come forward to testify. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else at the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas, we'll go to our phone lines. Do we have anyone joining us that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 186?
To provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 186, please press star 9 now to join the queue. Caller ending in 100, please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great, thanks. For the record, my name is Adam Porath, P-O-R-A-T-H, and I represent the Nevada Society of Health System Pharmacists. Would just like to ditto the comments the Nevada Pharmacy Alliance and the Retail Association. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other callers?
Chair, there are no additional callers to provide support testimony.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to opposition. If there's anyone here in Carson City or Las Vegas that would like to testify in opposition of AB 186, I invite you to the table. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Leah Cartwright, Leacartwright, here this morning on behalf of the Nevada Psychiatric Association with concerns on AB 186 and how it will affect the mental health care provided to citizens in our state. There are no laboratory tests that can test for mental illness. You really need to go through the lifespan with someone to talk about these things. In the list of CLIA-waived tests, they do include things like lithium, and so we have concerns that we'll see patients showing up to the pharmacy, getting refills on prescriptions that they're not supposed to. They need to come see their psychiatrist, and then potentially ending up in the ER and expanding those costs in the ER for mental health care. So we appreciate the sponsor for continuing to work on this bill, and which just continue our opposition in this committee. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go ahead.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Madam Chair and members of the committee, my name is Janine Packham, Jeanine, Packham, Packham. I'm the president of NAPNA, the Nevada Advanced Practice Nurses Association, here to express our concern and opposition to AB 186. I am here for Nurses Day, and I thought I would take advantage of that opportunity to speak with you directly about our concerns for patient safety posed by AB 186. I practice as a nurse practitioner at the VA here in Reno, and I
for my bosses, I am not here on behalf of the VA. I assure you that the pharmacists of the VA only are dispensing medications as a result of a very detailed collaborative process involving the VA medical and pharmacy teams. The other hat I wear is I am the local president of AFGE, American Federation of Government Employees, Local 2152, representing the VA Hospital, the Reno VBA, the Reno Vet Center, and the VISN 21 CCC, the Clinical Contact Center, which is the call center for the VA in Reno and other hospitals in Northern California. And we had an issue with a pharmacist bringing to our attention concerns that management was having them extend medication refills. And so the union got involved, and we helped create a very detailed SOP, standard operating procedure, to make sure that the primary care provider was looped in and kept informed, and that the process of the refill was as transparent as possible, and also built in a process to ensure that there was timely follow-up with the primary care provider, and if there was no primary care provider, to get them established with another primary care provider. So it wasn't just the pharmacist just continually extending the prescription without any kind of oversight. And the pharmacist wanted this in order to ensure to protect themselves from liability, and and because of their concerns for patient safety and for their outcomes. So thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Sarah Adler, representing the Nevada section of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, who do oppose this bill based upon patient safety. While an eye may be pink, there may be multiple reasons for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. See no one else at the table here in Carson City, we'll go down to Las Vegas. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Monroe Moreno, members of the committee. I'm Jacqueline Nguyen, Nguyen, representing the Nevada State Medical Association, the oldest and largest group of physicians in our state. We've been talking to stakeholders from the beginning and expressed our serious concerns of the breadth of this bill and its unintended consequences. It presents as being innocuous and would have you believe that it's no different than how pharmacists administered COVID tests and vaccines, and just wants to extend to what they deem as simple things like pink eye or cold sores. This bill goes far beyond that. There are over 1,400 tests listed in the CLIA list. This bill is actually the practice of medicine by those not fully clinically trained. Additionally, the financial implications also go beyond those reflected in the fiscal notes. When the unintended consequences materialize, the costs to the healthcare system will be seen in inefficient and more costly ways of treating conditions that were not properly diagnosed or managed. We will continue to work with all stakeholders, but as of now, all the physician members of NSMA continue to oppose SB 186. Thank you.
Thank you. See no one else in Las Vegas, we will go to the phone line. Do we have anyone joining us by phone that would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 186?
To provide testimony in opposition to Assembly Bill 186, please press *9 now to join the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to neutral. Do we have anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 186? Not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas. We'll go one last time to our phone lines. Do we have anyone on the phone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 186?
To provide neutral testimony for Assembly Bill 186, please press *9 now to join the queue. Chair, there are no callers for neutral testimony.
Thank you so much. We'll ask the presenters if they have any closing comments.
Assemblymember Orentlicker, thank you, Chair and Committee. I'll just say as Ms. Cartwright said, we've worked very hard with the stakeholders to ensure that the pharmacists practice only within their expertise and skill set, and so it's disappointing to hear testimony that doesn't reflect the changes we've made. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. And with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 186. And I know we have the sponsor of our next bill at the doorway. We will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 287, which revises provisions relating to elections. Good morning and welcome to Ways. Could you do me a favor? Could you pull the microphone down a little?
I just realized it wasn't on.
There we go. Okay, you're going to have to start all over again.
No worries. We're just seeing if you guys are paying attention. Thank you, Chairman Moreno and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Assemblymember Gonzalez, and I represent Assembly District 16 in Clark County. Thank you for the opportunity to present AB 287, which revises provisions relating to election recounts and creates the Voter Access Fund program. Since the policies of 287 have already been discussed, and because this is the Money Committee, my presentation will mainly focus on the fiscal impact. 2 fiscal notes were submitted for AB 287 as introduced, one from the Secretary of State's office, which determined a fiscal impact of $0. And then there was one from local governments. Clark County, Carson City, and Humboldt County had all determined that they would incur a fiscal impact in the original bill. However, the bill has been amended to remove these fiscal impacts. AB 287 in its first reprint requires counties to be repaid. Oh, my stuff got a hole punched in the middle of my remarks. Sorry. To be repaid for automatic recounts required by the bill from the Reserve for Statutory Contingency Fund. The amendment to AB 287 also added provisions creating the Voter Access Grant Program, which was originally included in another bill, AB 420. However, the fiscal note from the Office of the Secretary of State for AB 420 indicates that the program would be no cost to the agency to implement. That is my presentation. I also have the Secretary of State's office here, as well as Clark and Washoe County, that proposed an amendment to AB 287. That's a friendly amendment that I will be accepting that streamlines some of the timeline processes for the recount. And so with that, we will take any questions, and the counties are here to answer those questions as well.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Secretary of State, it's great to see you. Yesterday you were on screen, today you're here in person. If you could go ahead and speak to the impact to your department and how you're going to cover this without a fiscal note.
Thank you, Chair Cisco Aguilar, Secretary of State. I'm actually going to hand this down to Gabriel DeCara in Las Vegas. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gabriel DeCara, Chief Deputy Secretary of State, for the record. Our elections division, Deputy Voloshin, who I believe is sandwiched somewhere in there as well, is in constant communication with the counties about what they need in order to effectively administer their elections and communicate with their voters. Those conversations are already happening. This fund would just create a specific pot of money for us to be able to provide that direct support instead of begging, borrowing, and stealing from wherever we can.
Chief Deputy DeCara, the question was, how are we going to cover the fiscal note or the fiscal impact with no fiscal note?
And you mentioned a pot of money. What pot of money are you referring to?
So this fund would allow the Secretary of State's office to receive
No, this is on the automatic recount.
Gifts.
There's a question on why there is no
apologies.
I just wanted to know, I didn't see a pot of money in AB 287, so I was wondering what you were referring to.
We're going to go with Deputy Volashin for the answer to this question.
Thank you for the question, Chair. Mark Volashin, Deputy Secretary of State for Elections, for the record. So the administration of this will have zero fiscal impact when it comes to the recount element of the bill. Because essentially that analysis will be done by our staff. It's the sort of analysis that we conduct currently already. So there will not be a requirement for additional personnel. The communications to the counties also, again, is routine and habitual, so there wouldn't be additional requirements there either. Essentially, at the conclusion of an election, we would look at the numbers of turnout, compare the percentages, identify those mandatory recounts, and then notify the appropriate entities, excuse me, whether that's counties or statewide as applicable, all using existing staff and resources.
Okay, so the counties are going to conduct the recount, and they're going to be using their staff, and they're going to have to pay their staff. Are we, the state, reimbursing those counties for that time and money in those individual counties?
Thank you for the question, Chair. Mark Volashin, for the record. Yes, that is correct. And that's the process that's currently done. If there's staff hours that are used for the conduct of a recount that are already in normal working hours, then there's no reimbursement. But if there are OT, overtime costs, or other additional requirements, additional staff in some of the larger counties, they do need to hire temporary staff. Those sort of things are already addressed and would be reimbursed.
And my last question for you. So because that's already the current practice, you already have this funding in your current budget if these recounts were to be used, and that money would be sent to the county to reimburse them.
And I apologize, Mark Volashin, for the record, for clarification. The process of using staff during normal hours, that's the existing practice. The reimbursements would be coming out of the statutory contingency account pursuant to the bill, though. And that is not currently the practice. That would be a new addition.
Okay, thank you for that. And I have the counties behind you shaking their heads, so we're going to invite them to the table as well.
Hello, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Ashley Kennedy, representing Clark County. First, thank you to Assemblymember Gonzalez for working through this bill with us. And we do have an amendment that is intended to kind of streamline the recount process. So currently, we don't have automatic recounts, and so any recount is at the request of a candidate, and they are paying the cost of it. And so the counties are determining how much that recount would cost them. So for Clark, as an example, the two major components of a cost of a recount is staff time and support from our vendors. We utilize as much of our permanent staff to use the recount, but we also, as in current law, we have to pay them overtime depending on when the recount was requested, if we are doing a recount over the weekend. And then we also have to utilize, in Clark, at least last election cycle, we would have probably needed about 40 part-time or 40 temporary staff to do a recount. And the reason why a recount is so labor-intensive is right now, you're able to vote at any vote center. So we can't just pull the ballots from a particular precinct. We have to reopen everything. And then also with the addition of mail ballots, it's a little bit more of a manual process than just managing our flash drives for in-person voting. So I will turn it over to Ms. Matievich from Washoe County, who can walk through the amendment that clarifies what we really were intended to do was try to ensure that, because as the bill is written, there is a provision where there's an automatic recount, and then also still an ability for somebody to do a candidate requested recount. So anything where a margin of victory was between 0.26% to 5%, for example. And so our goal was to try to streamline resources. Currently, when you ask or demand a recount, the clock of when that recount needs to be started and completed varies on when the demand comes in. So we were trying to streamline it to manage resources so that we are doing all automatic recounts and candidate requested recounts at the same time. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Matievich.
And then just to confirm, the amendment that you're referring to is the one dated from April 28th? Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Monroe Moreno, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Cadence Matievich, C-A-D-E-N-C-E-M-A-T-I-J-E-V-I-C-H, representing Washoe County. Thank you for the opportunity to provide some additional information on our proposed amendment. And as Ms. Kennedy said, these amendments are indeed intended to streamline the process and thereby reduce the costs. So there's the tie to your fiscal committee, Madam Chair. As you'll see in the proposed amendment that you have, the language that is in green bold underlining and then the purple strike through is what's applicable within this proposed amendment. And so you'll see that the first place that we're looking to make a change is on the second page of the proposed amendment. It's a new subsection 2, and this is intended to clarify how costs would be shared in the instance where there is both a automatic recount and a candidate demanded recount. So we're looking to apportion those costs that would be attributed directly to the candidate demanded recount and essentially require them to pay the share of the costs that would not have otherwise been incurred for the automatic recount. As Ms. Kennedy described, I think as everyone knows, sort of how we administer elections has fundamentally changed in our state in the last several years. And with mail-in ballots and vote centers versus the old style where you go to your home precinct, we really, in the case where we have to do a recount, in many cases, we do all of the processes for the entire election. There are other pieces that are specific to the race that's being considered: adjudication, duplication, those things that we would not need to perform if the candidate had not demanded the recount for that particular race. And so that's what that section is intended to address. The next amendment is an amendment to Section 3, subsection 3, that would clarify that the state would pay the costs of any automatic recount that's incurred from the statutory contingency. I do believe that was the intent of the original amendment. It's just that when the language came out, it looked a little different than what we had expected. And with that change, the fiscal note from Washoe County would be removed. Moving on into the amendment to Section 3, subsection 4, this is the pieces that Ms. Kennedy was talking about around the deadlines for the recount. And really what it says is after the canvass happens, and it's a little different which canvass is referred to, whether it's a primary. In the primary, it's the canvass that's conducted by the county. In the general, it's the canvass that's conducted by the Supreme Court. That the recount request is due 3 working days after that canvass takes place. So that's the deadline for it to be requested, irrespective of whether it's a local race, a multi-county race, a statewide race. There's a single deadline by which the request has to be made. And then you continue on in that section, and it talks about when we must commence the work on the recount and when we must finish it. And it changes it to say that we would begin the recount within 5 days after the deadline for request, and then complete the recount within 5 working days from the date by which it must be commenced. And we've prepared some calendars that we hope will help illustrate that a little bit better. You should have those as exhibits. And I think it really becomes most clear when you look at the calendar for November of 2026 of what exists in the current statutes. And I should point out that the current statutes, these timelines and deadlines, were put into place in 1960. So they have not sort of evolved with us as administration of elections in our state have changed. And so you can see that there's lots of variables that the elections officials have to consider now based on when the request for the recount comes in. That starts the clock ticking. Again, looking to streamline that. With another important amendment that comes, and that's the final amendment that you'll see, and that changes the date of the Supreme Court canvass from being the 4th Tuesday of November after the general election to say that it happens on the Tuesday after the county canvass. And so based on the way that calendars fall, sometimes there's a shorter amount of time between the county canvass and when that 4th Tuesday happens. Oftentimes there's intersection with the Thanksgiving week. This would move that up, set that single deadline. We have conferred with the Supreme Court that that change would not be problematic, and they have confirmed that they are okay with that. And in fact, this calendar that you see that's the proposed would be very similar to what we had in November of 2022. And while it does compress some of the things that have to be completed between the time of the county commission or the city council canvass and the Supreme Court canvass, we do believe that it streamlines the calendar. It would allow us to conduct as many recounts as we need to all at once, rather than doing them sort of sequentially as the requests come in, and really streamlines the process, thereby saving the resources either for the state from the contingency fund or from the candidate who's paying from their own money in the case of a candidate demanded recount. I know that's a lot, Madam Chair. I hope I explained it relatively simply, but would be pleased to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
You did do a great job of explaining, but I believe there's a few members that have questions in addition to myself. We're going to go first to Assembly Member Bacchus.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And just considering the different counties' fiscal notes, do you guys have any idea how many races, for example, in the last election came within 0.25% that would be subject to the automatic recount?
Ashley Kennedy, for the record, representing Clark County. I think we're probably the county that has the most races that would be impacted by this. For example, in the 24 general, we had 4 races that were, the margin of victory was 0.25% or lower. Looking historically, in the 22 general, there was 1 race. In the 22 primary, there was 1 race. In the 20 general, there was 2 races. In the 18 general, there was 1 race. 18 primary, 1 race. In 17, when city elections were still on a different calendar, we had 1 race, and then in the 16 primary, there was 1 race.
And so with that, I take it, and I'm not sure if your fiscal note then would have been premised on like an average or the 4 races from the last election. Because I'm thinking about a 5-day turnaround, and if someone puts in on a Monday and you have to be done by Friday, that it's going to take some serious resources to do the recount, especially if those 4 races, I think we had one in like North Las Vegas, they could be all about, so they're not overlapping where it's going to be different sections. So is it, the fiscal note showed it was $250,000 in each year, but I think it's probably just in even years because I don't think we're doing any elections in odd years now. Is that amount? And then I'm taking it because you're seeking state reimbursement from the state contingency fund. We're going to have to think about general funds that need to be allocated. And so we need to figure out how much that's going to look like.
Thank you. For the record, Ashley Kennedy, and I will speak to Clark County's fiscal impact, but I think it might be similar and in line with Washoe County. The fiscal note that we filed was with the bill in its as introduced, so without any consideration with the cost being now offset by the state for the counties. Looking at, and I think one of the challenges is exactly why we brought this amendment forward, is the clocks varies depending on when the request comes in. So by changing the timelines so that we are starting a recount, whether it's 1 recount or 10, all at the same time, it maximizes our resources. Additionally, I went back historically, or at least looked at last election cycle, what the cost of our recount is. And again, the cost of the recount varied on when it came in and how many weekend and overtime hours that we had to do. On the high end, we could potentially be paying just in overtime alone $87,000. On the lower end, $36,000. So by changing the timeline to working days, we are reducing those overtime costs almost in an entirety. So I understand the impact to the state. So in looking at historically, we would say a recount probably in Clark County, whether it's 1 recount or 10 recounts, will cost about $69,000. That's $50,000 for staff costs, and this is just the staff that are part-time, that are temporary, not our permanent election staff, and about $19,000 in vendor support. However, with the caveat that those increase, especially since it's related to staff time, would increase each election cycle as pay increases for these individuals. So maybe a 3% increase each year would be a conservative estimate. And I will defer over to Ms. Matievich if she wants to highlight Washoe County's cost.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Cadence Matievich. Our costs are calculated similarly to how Clark County's are determined. I do want to note that there is an existing Nevada Administrative Code, NAC 293.375, regulations that have been promulgated by the Secretary of State's office and approved by the Legislative Commission. Those exist in the NAC today, the Administrative Code today. And so we follow those when preparing our cost estimates. And for Washoe County, looking at under the amendments that are being proposed for the streamlining and containment of costs, we estimate that in a general election, our cost would be $30,000.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, for the follow-up question. So just trying to figure out what the total would be for probably, it would just be in the even fiscal years. I mean, with the two larger counties, it seems like it would be somewhere around $100,000 is that what you guys are thinking? And I see the sponsor kind of shaking her head.
Ashley Kennedy for the record. I would say that's a fair estimate. I don't know any of the other smaller jurisdictions if they've had any historical races that they can attest to of when an automatic recount would be triggered. I did want to also include that we did in the amendment have a cost share. So in the event that there is one automatic recount triggered in Clark County, but we had, let's say, 5 candidates that lost their race within with a 5% margin, also request a recount, then that is when we would be doing some cost share. So the state would be splitting some of those costs with the candidates as well.
Madam Chair, if I may, Cadence Matievich for the record. I do think it's important to note that it wouldn't, a clarification for Assemblymember Backus, primary elections, although they take place in a even numbered calendar year, are, because they are in June, they are in the odd numbered fiscal year. And so potentially there could be costs because those costs are, as you look at the calendars that we've prepared for you for June, you'll see that most of those costs, if not entirely, those costs would be incurred in that odd numbered fiscal year. Thank you for the opportunity to make that clarification.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It makes sense.
Thank you for the questions and thank you for the answers. So seeing that this would definitely have a general fund impact because the contingency fund is funded through general funds. In your educated guess, because we would have to increase the amount of money that would go into the contingency fund to cover any potential recount cost, what would that dollar amount be? And maybe that's the Secretary of State's question. I don't know, because this will have a general fund impact. Anyone have a good guesstimate?
Thank you, the Chair. Thank you for the question, Chair Mark Voloshin, for the record. It is an excellent question, and to get you an educated guess, I don't have the numbers directly in front of me, but I can get something to you within a couple hours. It will depend, as mentioned, on the feedback from the counties, but also in recognition that historically we do have 2 special elections in an odd-numbered year as well. 3 recalls, are up for discussion right now currently, and we'd want to take that into consideration as well. But we can get you a number for that within a couple hours.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that. We would definitely need to. I think this is a great bill. I just hope we can afford the bill. Members, any other questions? Sure. Yes, Assemblyman Hibbets.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm not sure if this is for the sponsor or for the Secretary of State, because it actually, I think, affects the Secretary of State. Who's paying for the voter access grant program?
Gabriel DeCara, for the record, Chief Deputy Secretary of State. The voter grant program has the ability to accept gifts and grants. There are organizations that are interested in supporting election administrators, communicating with voters, et cetera. So there would be no fiscal cost to set up or administer that fund, as I previously noted, and it would not be funded through general fund dollars. It would be up for gifts and grants. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for clarification, there is, and I may have missed it, I apologize if I did, but there's nothing in the language that says to the extent funds are available, So I just want to get on the record that you're not coming back to this body or IFC with a request saying, hey, we don't have any money to fund this now, so we need GF money for it, or contingency fund money for it.
Gabriel DeCara, Chief Deputy Secretary of State. That's correct. We are in discussion in looking at some of our other bills. Just this morning in Senate Finance, we had a one-shot bill that included funds specifically for voter education. We may be looking at moving money that is specifically already earmarked for voter education into this fund, but we would not be coming with an additional general fund request. That's correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Members, any other questions? All right, not seeing any, I'll ask you to take a step back and we'll invite to the table here in Carson City and in Las Vegas anyone that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 287. Not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas. We'll go to our phone line. Do we have anyone on the phone that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 287?
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 287, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Chairman Ro Moreno and members of the committee. My name is Ryan Vordish, spelled RyanVortisch, and I am the Northern Nevada Democracy Coordinator of Silver State Voices. We'd like to express our strong support of AB 287 on behalf of Silver State Voices and the Let Nevadans Vote Coalition, and we thank the sponsors and stakeholders for bringing forward such an important issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Chair, there are no additional callers for support.
Thank you so much, and we'll move to opposition. Is there anyone that would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 287? Good morning and welcome to Ways.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Janine Hansen. I'm the state chairman of the Independent American Party. And we have concerns about Section 7 of this bill, and that's the section on voter access grant program. We heard from the Deputy Secretary of State this was called as a pot of money. That's what we view it as, and we are concerned about the supervision and how this money will be spent. We are also concerned by the testimony that was just given online about organizations. We heard the Deputy Secretary of State said they expect to get grants of money to run this, and many of those will be from organizations which are probably quote-unquote nonprofit, and many of those are very partisan, and like Silver State Voices and Nevada a Voter Voice, which we heard referred to in the testimony. We have seen them. I've attended almost all of the election committee hearings, and they are always there, and often we are on opposite sides of different issues, and so we are concerned that this money will be used in a partisan way or receive money from partisan organizations, and so we're concerned about how the money will be used. In Section 7, 2D, it says any other project, program, or expense that the Secretary of State determines to be eligible for the program. We're concerned about that very broad language and how that might apply. We're concerned that if the Secretary of State wants to reward certain counties that they're doing things the way he wants them done, that will be how it's used. We don't know what the regulations will be yet because they haven't been promulgated. And one other issue that we're concerned about, the money does not return to the general fund, which is always a problem. And we believe that almost every bill regarding the Secretary of State this session has been used to consolidate power to the Secretary of State's office, often diminishing the responsibilities of county clerks, elected county clerks. And we're very concerned about that being another opportunity under this voter access grant program that will be a continuation of diminishing the role of the elected county clerks. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else here in Carson City to testify in opposition and no one at the table in Las Vegas, we will go to our phone line. Do we have anyone on the phone that would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 287?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 287, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning. My name is Iris Stone, and I represent myself. I oppose Section 1, Subsection 1 of this bill. There should be no numeric restriction to request a recount. The fact that the candidate or the voter carries the financial burden to conduct a recount should they lose the contest is enough to keep unreasonable challenges from happening. It is fundamental to the individual's freedom of speech enshrined in the Constitution. In addition, I strongly support Amendment 123 that has been newly added. This amendment should be a standalone bill. It has no relationship to the original subject of this bill and is unconstitutional per statute NRS 218D 100. This amendment would establish the Voter Access Grant Program for the Secretary of State to hand out money in the forms of grants to, quote, eligible entities, unquote. This program would allow the Secretary of State to pay for supplies, equipment, extra pay to employees, pay for voter outreach, and most concerning, quote, any other project the Secretary of State determines is eligible, unquote. In other words, nothing is off limits. In addition, Section 8 states, quote, the Secretary of State may apply for and accept any donation, gift, grant, bequest, or other source of money for deposit into the account, unquote. And once the money is deposited, it stays there, cannot revert to the state general fund. There would be no public oversight, no legislative oversight, no guidance on the administration of the fund. This is an extreme overreach by the legislature and is most likely unconstitutional and certainly borders on the subversive. This also sets a precedent for other state officials to request similar grant arrangements. Where does it stop? I strongly urge you to delete Amendment 123 from AB 287. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Perrine, CYNTHIA PERINE. I would like to echo the testimony of the previous speakers in opposition, as I am in opposition as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Kimberly Fergus, F-E-R-G.
Ms. Fergus.
Sorry, Chair, one moment.
Thank you.
Am I unmuted?
You are now. We can
Yes,
hear
you're
you
good.
again.
Okay, sorry. Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Kimberly Fergus, F-E-R-G-U-S. I am here in strong opposition of AB 287. I do echo what the past two callers said. However, in my own words, I have to say this is the craziest bill I've ever seen. It mandates taxpayer-funded recounts in races decided by just 25% or less. Sections 1 and 3 spell that out. That means if a candidate loses, they can trigger a free recount at public expense. Section 3 confirms the state will reimburse counties using the reserve of statutory contingency account, in my opinion, aka our tax dollars. This isn't theoretical. In 2024, 4 Clark County races would have qualified under the automatic recount rule. If the bill passes, we'll be flooded with recount demands, delay results potentially until December, and strain local election offices already stretched thin. This is not about integrity. It's about political chaos, physical irresponsibility. I urge you to vote no on AB 287. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning. My name is Ellen Gifford, ELLEN, GIFF as in Frank, ORD as in David. Article 4, Section 17 of the Nevada Constitution states, each law enacted by the legislature shall embrace but one subject. NRS 218D100 mandates the Legislative Council shall not honor a request for the drafting of a legislative measure which has been combined in violation of the aforeread section and article. AB 287, as introduced, addressed one subject, recounts. It did not violate the Constitution. In April, reprint 1 of AB 287, as amended, addressed two subjects, recounts and a voter access grant fund desired by the Secretary of State. That violates the Constitution. Interestingly, the Voter Access Grant Fund was originally a section in AB 420, an education bill that addressed situations at schools, two different subjects which violated the Constitution. When attention grew regarding this violation, the grant fund found another place to reside, AB 287. Please withdraw this bill so that this violation of combined subjects can yet again be addressed by the Legislative Council. And before closing, it must be noted that yesterday's hearing on AB 562 would provide the Secretary of State with over $26 million taxpayer dollars. In light of the fact that in April, the SB 458 hearing, reluctantly and with committee counsel about fiscal responsibility, covered $773,148 for an unanticipated shortfall in the Secretary of State's office. Is this grant fund beneficial to Nevada taxpayers? Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Chapman, LYNNCHAPMAN, and I'm the State Vice President of Nevada Families for Freedom. And we, too, are extremely concerned, especially about Section 7, the entire thing with the Voter Access Grant Program. It's very concerning when we're told, well, that we're going to get the money from donations and grants and this and that, but who's going to be receiving the money? The whole situation with the money is very concerning to all of us. And so we wanted to put in our opposition to AB 287. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any other callers?
Hi, Yolanda Knack, YOLANBA, last name KNAAK. I'd just like to ditto the previous callers in opposition to AB 286. Thank you very much. 287, I believe it is.
Thank you. Next caller.
Chair, we have no additional callers.
Thank you so much. We will move to neutral. If there's anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 287, I invite you to the tables. And not seeing anyone approach the table in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we'll go to our phone lines one last time to see if we have anyone joining us that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 287.
Testifying neutral to Assembly Bill 287, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you so much. Then we will ask the sponsor of the bill if you have any closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Chair. I do believe Gabriel in Vegas has some closing remarks to address some of the concerns that were raised in the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gabriel DeCara for the record, Chief Deputy Secretary of State. Apologies for misunderstanding your question earlier. I'm glad Deputy Voloshin was able to step in. Clearly, I have the Voter Access Fund on the mind. I just wanted this committee to know, although this is the fiscal committee, obviously there are several concerns that have been heard. I'm in conversations with Assemblymember Cole on the Leg Ops Committee for a amendment that would include important transparency measures for this fund, which the Secretary of State's office is entirely on board with, and to talk, in specifics about the kinds of things that the Secretary of State's office has been supporting counties with. We helped fund a ballot sorter in Nye County, for example. We helped fund mailings and text message outreach to voters in Carson City when they received ballots with misprints. This is by no means any kind of partisan outreach that this office is considering. This is for the benefit of all voters in the state, and we would be introducing an amendment that ensures that the fund is spent proportionally. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair and committee members, and I appreciate the time and opportunity to present, and hopefully we have money to fund it. So thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 287. And we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 286, which is a measure that provides for a pilot program to assess the competency of applicants for a license to teach through alternative assessment methods. Good morning. And I won't say welcome to Ways because you kind of live here, so.
Good morning. It's great to be back in Ways, the Christmas gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Chairman Moreno and members of the hardworking Committee of Ways and Means. I'm Assemblymember Selena Torres Fawcett for the record, and I proudly represent Assembly District 3. Today, I will be presenting AB 286, the Teaching Beyond Testing Act, which allows for the creation of pilot programs within the Nevada system of higher education institutions to assess the competency of applicants for a license to teach through alternative assessment methods. If an applicant satisfactorily completes the program, the Commission on Professional Standards in Education cannot require applicants to pass They can continue to require them to take the competency test, but they cannot require them to pass that competency test, namely the praxis and principles of learning and teaching. So for an initial license to teach. Similarly, the Nevada Department of Education must remove any provision on provisional license requiring applicants to pass a competency test upon successful completion of the program. This is already in existing NACs right now. However, what happens is that if an individual does not pass that existing competency test, then they have to go and take a class. So for example, if they don't pass the ELA part of the praxis core, they might they're required to go take English 101. Regardless of whether or not that individual has taken and already passed that class, they have to go retake that class. So right now, this just moves it so that if they've already taken it, then they would be allowed to take that class. They can count that as their competency for that assessment. So this is already something that happens, but instead of requiring them to take the same class twice, which serves no one, it allows for them to use their performance on an NG class already for that course. The bill also mandates that the participating NG institution will submit a yearly report on the progress of the program as it applies to the pilot program that allows for teachers to demonstrate competency for the principles of learning and teaching. There is a fiscal note from NDE for the first reprint of the bill relating to amending the teaching licensure system to accommodate changes in the bill. So that totals to $6,250 in fiscal year 26-27. I would like to emphasize that the appropriation in the original bill was removed. Therefore, this is permissive language for NG to create these programs, which would essentially be like some type of certificate for students to demonstrate competency. At this time, I stand ready for any questions.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And I just have one question. I'm not sure if it would be for you or for the NCHI representative that's in the room, if you want to join the table. To establish this pilot program, would any of the NCHI institutions require additional funding or resources, or would the institutions be able to establish the pilot program within their existing staffing and funding levels?
Good morning, Madam Chair. For the record, Alejandro Rodriguez, Nevada System of Higher Education. Yes, it would be part of they would be permissive, so it would be up to the institutions if they would be able to create this on their own.
And so since it's permissive, it's not required. They would have the choice if they choose to do it and have the resources to do it.
Alejandro Rodriguez for the record, that's correct.
Perfect. Members, any other questions? Not seeing any. All right, thank you both so much. I'll ask you to step back. And we'll invite to the table anyone who would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 286. Go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair. For the record, Alejandro Rodriguez, Nevada System of Higher Education, and she is in support of this. And we'd like to thank Assembly Member Torres Fawcett for bringing this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Alexander Marks of the Nevada State Education Association. We're also in support. Thank you.
Amanda Brazo-Nolting, here with Row Law Group on behalf of NSU and UNLV. We are both in support, and UNLV believes that with their current infrastructure, there would be no fiscal impact for this pilot.
Michael Flores on behalf of the University of Reno. Apologize for running up the stairs. We're in support as well, and want to thank the Assembly member for opening this up for all the other institutions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I think as session winds down, everyone's going to be getting their exercise going up and downstairs. Not seeing anyone else at the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas, we'll go to our phone lines. Do we have anyone that would like to provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 286?
If you'd like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 286, start enjoy. Chair, we have no callers in support.
Thank you so much. And we'll move to opposition. If there's anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 286, I invite you to the table. And not seeing anyone come to the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas, we'll once again go to our phone lines to see if there's anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 286.
If you would like to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 286, please press star 9 now to join the queue. Chair, we have no callers in opposition.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to neutral. Do we have anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 286? Not seeing anyone come to the table here in Carson City or the table in Las Vegas. We'll go one last time to our phone line to see if we have anyone that would like to provide testimony in neutral on Assembly Bill 286.
If you would like to testify in neutral for Assembly Bill 286, please press star 9 now to join the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you so much. We'll invite the bill sponsor back to the table. No closing remarks. With that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 286. And we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 335, a measure which revises provisions relating to education.
Thank you, Chair Monroe Moreno and members of the committee. I'm back again. I'm Assemblymember Selena Torres Fawcett. It's like I never left. And I proudly represent Assembly District 3. Today, I will be presenting AB 335 the English Learner Accountability Act, which revises provisions relating to the education of English learners, or ELs. The bill primarily does a couple things. First, it requires the school's plan to include EL students in their school performance plan. Second, it creates clear guidelines for the expectations for an administrator at each school that supports EL pupils in programming. I will say I've gotten a couple emails that suggest that this creates additional layers of bureaucracy. I just want to make it very clear, once again, for the record, that these administrators already exist within districts, and there is already someone who is doing this role and these responsibilities within districts. It's just saying what the expectations or job requirements of these existing roles are in order to support students to ensure that every student graduating from a Nevada school knows English. It mandates that all teachers must receive training on English language acquisition by 2030. It requires data collection on ELs for the state accountability framework. And lastly, it supports newcomer programming by allowing EL students to have an additional year to graduate high school if needed, and clarifies that schools will not be penalized on their performance rating based on their EL data. One more final thing. It does establish the English Learner Advisory Council, ELAC, to make policy recommendations for the legislature regarding EL achievement. Towards the back of the bill, you'll notice that there were several sections of the NRS that were removed. Those were pieces of the NRS that I actually put into the NRS back in 2019 with AB 219. That's because the corrective action plan is more punitive, and that's being eliminated to then be moved into the SPP, which is the school performance plan, so that schools are planning for EL students. You'll note that there was a fiscal note. However, there was an email sent from NDE to the Ways and Means staff that does remove that fiscal note with the revisions that were made with the first reprint. At this time, I'm open for any questions.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions? And I know that we have NDE here in the audience if they would like to come to the table and just confirm that the fiscal impact no longer applies. And I know there was another fiscal note from White Pine County School District, but I don't believe their fiscal note has been removed. But NDE, if you'd like to just respond to the zero fiscal note. There was originally a fiscal note of over $300,000 in each for future bienniums, 134 and 25-26, 166 and 26-27. But I believe with the amendment that was removed, just want to confirm that that is the case.
Good morning, Amelia Thibault for the record, THIBAULT. On behalf of the Nevada Department of Education, we can confirm that upon amendment and further review, we were able to remove our fiscal note, which was initially for positions to support review of the SPPs. So note removed.
Thank you so much. And I know that White Pine County, while it does not impact the state general fund, they had submitted a fiscal note, so.
Assemblymember Torres Fawcett, I did speak. We have been trying to reach out to White Pine, and we'll continue to do so that we can get that updated. But I do want to make it very clear that because of the amendment, what they list is the multilingual student services, and that was removed and amended with a recommendation from NAS with the first reprint of the bill. So that's no longer what they're saying the fiscal note was on is now with the amendment has been removed.
Thank you. Members, any other questions on Assembly Bill 335? All right, not seeing any. Thank you so much. I'll ask you to take a step back to the seats, and we'll invite to the table anyone that's here to testify in support of Assembly Bill 335. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Mary Przynski, here representing Nevada Association of School Superintendents, and we are in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and Committee. My name is Nicole Flangas, Flangas, here on behalf of the Nevada Association of School Boards. We are also in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Not seeing anyone else at the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas. Let's go to the phone lines and see if there's anyone that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 335.
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 335, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for support.
Thank you so much, and we'll move to opposition. Do we have anyone that would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 335? Not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas. We'll go to our phone line. Do we have anyone that would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 335?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 335, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for opposition.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to neutral. If there's anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 335, I invite you to the tables. And not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone line one last time to see if we have anyone that would like to have neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 335.
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 335, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you so much. We'll invite the sponsor back, and she's shaking her head no for closing remarks. So we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 335. And we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 345, which is a measure that revises provisions relating to education. And welcome another committee member to the table, so we won't say welcome to Ways. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair. Nowhere else I'd rather be. So thank you, Chair and Committee. I'm Erica Mosca, representing Assembly District 14 in East Las Vegas. Assembly Bill 345 is a comprehensive higher education bill to support access, equity, and transparency. In very brief policy summary, the bill does 4 things. 1, it ensures DETR and NCHE collaborate together on a transparent data system for longitudinal outcomes, and that NCHE conducts a study on 3 topics. 1, open education resources, which are free online textbooks for students, food insecurity on all our NCHE campuses, and how students can return to school if they are close to graduating, even if they owe a fee to their institution. The original bill had open education resources and return to school starting next school year. However, after multiple meetings with NCHE and understanding the lack of feasibility to implement on that timeline, the amendment was adopted in the policy committee that turned both of these topics to a study. So by adopting the amendment, NCHE was able to change their unsolicited fiscal note of could not determine fiscal impact to $0, therefore removing their fiscal note because these topic areas align with work they were already doing or planning to do, and now they are studying it versus implementing it. Alejandro Rodriguez from NCHE is here to answer any questions committee members have about that, and I thank him and NCHE for their continued collaboration prior to and during session. So thank you, and in summary, the fiscal note is 0, and I want to thank many students again who worked on this bill, including the Student Alliance and past chair and AD 14 constituent Kevin Osorio Hernandez, and the Vegas Chamber of Commerce, as the dashboard was one of the Education Forum's recommendation in the interim. Thank you, Chair and Committee, for considering.
Thank you so much for being so concise. And I love that there's no place you'd rather be. My question is for NCHE. If you can just confirm whether the data dashboard and the interim study on the financial and food insecurity among students can be completed within the existing resources that you currently have and would not require additional general funds.
Alejandro Rodriguez for the record. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I can confirm that.
Thank you so much. Members, any other questions? All right, thank you both. I'll ask you to step back, and we'll invite to the table anyone that would like to provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 345. Good morning.
Good morning again. Alejandro Rodriguez for the record, Nevada System of Higher Education, and she is in strong support of this bill. We'd like to thank Assemblymember Mosca for working with us and other stakeholders on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Michael Flores with the University of Nevada, Reno, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be than in this committee. And want to thank Assemblymember Mosca for her work on this bill, in particular the focus on food insecurity. We've been working with the Assembly member since the interim on this and really looking forward to moving the needle in this space. We have a lot of students who are facing food insecurity, so we're in full support. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, and good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Trevor Parrish with the Vegas Chamber. And as the staff liaison to the Education Committee of the Southern Nevada Forum, I'll just reiterate that the data dashboard was a top priority of the Southern Nevada Forum. We'd also like to thank NCHE and DETR for helping to zero out the fiscal note, and we urge the committee for your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Mindy Elliott, representing Truckee Meadows Community College. We too would like to thank Assemblymember Mosca for all of her work and for NCHE for all of their collaboration, and we are in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair and members. Ian M. Hartshorn, Hartshorn, Nevada Faculty Alliance. The Nevada Faculty Alliance supports AB 345, Knowledge is Power, and this bill seeks to gather important information about our most important partners in education, our students. We appreciate the sponsor's efforts to bring this bill forward and her close work with student leaders who brought these concerns to the legislature's attention. We hope the information being gathered across the NSHE institutions allow us to further our mission of helping students succeed. We also appreciate that the Nevada system of higher education has zeroed out their fiscal note and hope this is a sign of renewed commitment to realistic reactions to needed reforms in the system. We look forward to them bringing this new pragmatism to other pending bills, including AB 191, collective bargaining for professional employees in the NSHE system.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Amanda Brazo-Nolting here again on behalf of Nevada State University and UNLV. We want to share our support for this bill and thank the sponsor for bringing it forward.
Thank you. Seeing no one else here in Carson City to testify in support, and no one at the table in Las Vegas, we'll move to our phone lines to see if we have anyone that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 345.
If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 345, please press star 9 now to join the queue.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kevin Osorio Hernandez. That is Osorio-Hernandez, and I'm here to express my strong support for AB 345 as the immediate past chair of the Nevada Student Alliance and a recent graduate of Nevada State University. I know firsthand how critical it is to break down barriers to higher education. This bill was developed in collaboration with the priorities of the Nevada Student Alliance and reflects over 100,000 students across our state and the priorities that they have expressed as well. AB 345 is a meaningful step towards making college more accessible and breaking down barriers to higher education, particularly for students from historically underserved communities. I urge your support and your passage of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning, Chair Member Moreno and Vice Chair Bacchus. This is Anthony Curry, Director of Advocacy and Public Policy for Opportunity 180, a nonprofit organization working toward the North Star of every kid graduating high school, college, and career ready, prepared to live the life they dream. Central to our work is advocating for data-driven approach to education policy and ensuring school, district, and state-level data is available for stakeholders from parents and students to legislators to use in their decision-making. We support AB 345 because it will bridge gaps that exist between K-12 education data and higher education data and provide a more complete picture of the path some of our high school graduates take and to what extent they're successful. This bill will give Nevada a clear understanding of how students perform in post-secondary education and where misalignments exist between high school preparation and college expectations. This bill also models a framework for data transparency that other organizations and entities in our state can emulate. With this data, we can make more informed decisions about how to better prepare and support students as they transition from high school to post-secondary education. For these reasons, we support AB 345 and thank the bill sponsor for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Chair, we have no additional callers in support.
Thank you so much. And then we will move to opposition. If there's anyone here that would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 345, I invite you to the tables. And not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we will go to our phone line to see if we have anyone that would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 345.
To provide testimony in opposition to Assembly Bill 345, please press star 9 to join the queue. Chair, we have no callers in opposition.
Thank you so much. And we will go to neutral. Is there anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 345? And not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone line one last time to see if there's anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 345.
To provide testimony in neutral for Assembly Bill 345, please press star 9 now to join the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you so much. And the sponsor of the bill is shaking her head no for closing comments, so we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 345. And we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 352, a measure which revises provisions relating to businesses. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Monroe Moreno and members of Ways and Means Committee. It's nice to be home, and as we sit in this room forever. But I'm excited to be able to get up and present AB 352 to the committee today. I do have to go into a small part of the policy as it directly relates to the fiscal notes. This bill deals with cottage food operations, and these are not food establishments. Cottage food industry basically consists of individuals who produce homemade food items which in their private residencies to be sold directly to consumers at events such as farmers markets or flea markets, craft fairs, etc. The cottage food producers must follow the same business license requirements in every other business in Nevada. They have to go through many of the same items, but they must also acquire and maintain a business license from the state, the municipalities where the business is based, and every municipality where they attend events. So let's say that you make something in Fallon, but you actually want to sell it in Carson. You have to have a business license in both. This bill kind of cleans that up a little bit. But the other thing that this bill does is it allows for the operations. Currently, the operations must have less than $35,000 in gross sales per calendar year to be considered a cottage food industry. This is actually raising it up to $100,000 because, as we know, gross prices are getting more and more expensive. And so this is actually cutting down the number of people that are able to operate as cottage food purveyors. And so this would be allowing it to actually expand it. The other thing, it also creates a new program for the cottage cosmetic operations. Organizing this oversight created the largest fiscal note because we're kind of trying to move it from the current area to the Department of Agriculture. This change of oversight created a fiscal note for the Department of Health and Human Services to identify and report child support delinquency due to needing a new interface to verify the compliance of applicants within the child support system. After talking with Lisa Swearingen, the Deputy Administrator for the Division of Wealth and Supportive Services, who is here today, she believes she is able to do this with current funds, and so it would not actually be taken out of general funds. I do, again, have Ms. Swearingen here today if you need to have that verified. The second fiscal note is submitted from the Department of Agriculture. The positions and supplies and even some of these same ideas are covered in SB 466, which is being heard today in Senate Health and Human Services. Again, many of these same ideas are present in both bills. And so Director Gokachia is under the belief that because of both the bill and then also the fact that there are more people that will be actually applying, hopefully, that there is a way for us to reduce or even not have to worry about that fiscal note. Again, I have Director Gokachia here today to verify. I just want to end the presentation today as the Money Committee. I truly do believe, after speaking with many individuals, that this will become a revenue generator for our state because there are more and more individuals now that are actually looking into trying to supplement their own income. Our neighbors and our constituents are trying to do that by being able to actually apply to become a cottage food operator. And so this is a way for us to increase that funds. And because of that, then the hope, the belief, is that with that licensing fee, it will actually carry over or be able to pay for some of the funds that are being asked of this committee, if necessary. More than happy to try my best to answer questions. And again, I do have 2 phone a friends in the audience if you need them.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And we are going to ask your phone or friends to come to the table just to speak to their fiscal notes. I also had a question, and it's policy/fiscal. The Northern Nevada Public Health and Southern Nevada Public Health both indicated that they would have a revenue loss. Is that because there are you have to get a health card to participate in some of these flea markets and farmers events, and would you not have to get a health card or go through any inspections if this bill were to pass?
Thank you so much for the question, Assemblymember Anderson, for the record. Because the oversight is being taken, it's being moved to the state as opposed to the different counties. That is where that loss of revenue would be coming from. Because there is a small amount of revenue that is currently going to the counties because of that application fee. It's, I think, $208, $210 to be able to apply for that. Since it's now going to be moved, or this bill is proposing to move it to the state instead, that is where that revenue loss would be coming from what I understand. I think I do see somebody from the county, but they just looked at me like, I'm not sure if I can answer that question for sure.
Okay.
So if
we're
they
going to
are
go
not,
to your two phone or friends that
call.
are at the table now, and maybe we'll go to those first, and then we'll go back.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Director Goycochea, GOI, CHEA, Nevada Department of Agriculture, to speak to our fiscal note. As we're all aware, we are in the final days of the session, and there's a lot of moving parts. We did have our budget and the budget of HHS approved, bringing over additional inspectors to the Nevada Department of Agriculture. In addition, we do have 466, SB 466 up this afternoon. That enabling language in there will give us additional authorities, including authorities that the sponsor has talked about in here. So based on that, we will not need our additional inspectors that we put in as a fiscal note, so we will be removing that fiscal note in its entirety.
That is music to my ears. Now, my question, as far as the loss of revenue to the counties because of the applications and health cards and things like that, will your division be taking over that aspect of it?
Madam Chair, Director Goycochea, for the record, so the health cards, they would not be a health card. There is an application process, and we are, should this bill move forward, we would be the entity that does need to keep track of all of those cottage food industries in the state of Nevada. We already do craft food. We should notice that. Those that are acidified foods, i.e. pickles, etc. So this is not new to us. We can do this. It's just an expansion of what we would be doing. But there would be an application process. That permit would be granted by the Nevada Department of Agriculture, and we would maintain that registry.
Thank you so much. I was asking the question for the health and safety concerns of the public, so I wanted to make sure someone was still doing that. I appreciate it. Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, Lisa Swearingen, I'm a Deputy Administrator with the Division of Welfare and Supportive Services. We do have a fiscal note on this. It is, I believe, $641,700. That is mainly just to pull in the authority. We are going to go ahead and cover this with our child support incentive funds, so there will be no general fund or cost to the state for this.
More music to my ears. Thank you so much. Members, do you have questions for the Assembly member or her two phone friends that are at the table now? All right, not seeing any. Thank you so much. We'll invite to the table anyone that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 352. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair. For the members of the committee, my name is Doug Busselman. I'm the Executive Vice President for Nevada Farm Bureau. We are here today to express our strong support for passage of AB 352 and the provisions which will provide for the Nevada Department of Agriculture taking responsibility to the areas of cottage food and farm-to-fork events. Our member policy supports the cottage food program to be operated by the Nevada Department of Agriculture and includes the department's producer certification program into this comprehensive authority. We also support urban-based agricultural operations as a result to some of the issues related to food deserts and expanded opportunities for these smaller food-producing entities to have greater opportunities for economic sustainability. Our members have expressed their frustrations over the authority that now involves different health districts around the state and the manner in which these regulatory agencies have treated those and the inconsistent and random applications of the rules that they have established. These challenges have played a role in limiting the ability for cottage food and farm-to-fork activities. We very appreciate the customer treatment approach that the Nevada Department of Agriculture has practiced, and we welcome the pro-enterprise partnerships that we have with them. This is a stark contrast to the way in which some health districts have approached those who are required to deal with them. AB 352 is a positive move in the right direction, and we hope that you will pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else come to the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas, we will go to the phone line to see if we have anyone that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 352.
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 352, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in support.
Thank you so much. We will move to opposition. If there's anyone here that would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 352, I invite you to the tables. And not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we will go to the phone lines again to see if we have anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of AB 352.
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 352, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in opposition.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to neutral. If there's anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 352, I invite you to the tables. And not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone line one last time to see if we have anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 352.
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 352, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in neutral.
Thank you so much. We'll ask the sponsor, who's shaking her head. No closing comments, so we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 352. And members, we will open the hearing for the last bill that we'll be able to get in before we take a recess to get to the floor. And we'll open the hearing on Assembly Bill 376, which is a measure that revises provisions relating to insurance. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair. And for 100 days now, Chair, several of you have been looking at the back of my head. I am happy to be here. This is what P.K. O'Neill looks like. But honestly speaking, Chair, thank you for having me here today. And committee members, I'm here today. I'm P.K. O'Neill, representing Assembly District 40. I'm here today to present to you Assembly Bill 376, which revises provisions relating to insurance. With me today is Adam Plain, representing the Insurance Regulation Liaison with the Division of Insurance, who will go through the amendment and also remove the physical note to the bill. For some background, this bill was heard in Commerce and Labor several weeks ago. It had some confusion on the amendment and fortunately is here with us today to finalize and clear everything up. But the bill addresses an urgent and important matter facing many homeowners in my district and actually statewide, both north and south. That is the issue of homeowners insurance. As you are aware, many housing developments within Nevada sit squarely within the wildland-urban interface, which is just a fancy way of saying they are in a transitional space between the forest and developed land. Due to many factors, not the least of which is the risk of wildfire, many Nevadans are facing cancellations of their homeowners insurance policies. Others are trying to purchase homes and cannot close the deal as they cannot find an insurance company willing to underwrite their homeowners policies. Still others are facing skyrocketing premiums and cannot afford their coverage. This issue is not unique to Nevada and is indeed a nationwide problem, but we're here to at least solve the issue for Nevada. And working with representatives from the Division of Insurance and the insurance industry, we are offering an amendment to AB 376 to address the issue of homeowners insurance availability. The amendment is patterned after model language used in other states and the National Council of Insurance Legislators, also known as NCOIL. And now I would like to turn it over to Mr. Plain to go through the amendment very quickly with you and address the fiscal note that's currently there.
Thank you, Assemblymember O'Neill, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Adam Plain, P-L-A-I-N, with the Nevada Division of Insurance. To not bury the lead, the amendment that is being proposed would eliminate the division's fiscal note in its entirety. Going through the amendment itself very quickly, Sections 2 through 20 would create a sandbox innovation program, which would allow insurers to potentially bring innovative products to the market and expand the availability of homeowners insurance. The division and Assemblymember O'Neill are very cognizant of the fact that we want to ensure that consumers are still protected in this fashion, and so we've explicitly included language that the Chapter 679B and Chapter 686A, so those are overall chapters relating to examinations of insurers, stability, and consumer protections and unfair trade practices, cannot be waived through the Sandbox Innovation Program. The new proposed Section 20.3 would create a flex rating program specific to the line of homeowners insurance. This is substantially similar, though not identical, to the language that was proposed in the policy committee. The difference being that we've included language that differentiates between an individual rate disruption and the overall rate impact. Overall rate impact being like the rates are going up 5% overall. Individual rate disruption, meaning an individual policyholder, while the overall impact may be 5%, could see a 10-15% change. These thresholds would be set annually by the commissioner through a public hearing process based on economic data, input from consumers, the industry, so on. Sections 22, 23, and 24 would be deleted by the amendment. Those are the sections that really triggered the fiscal note from the division, and that's why the amendment would remove the fiscal note. Section 25.1, new language that would allow an insurer to offer a policy that specifically excludes the peril of wildfire coverage, or offer a policy that only covers wildfire coverage. So it'd be similar to if you're a homeowner now and you have earthquake coverage, your policy may exclude earthquake, or you can have it added by a specific amendment. This would allow a similar function for wildfire policies. Section 25.2 is new language dealing with reciprocal insurers. Since our presentation in the policy committee, we've had some interest from reciprocal insurers willing to enter the state to provide wildfire and homeowners coverage. This would change some language about the solvency and reserves for reciprocals to make it clearer to them what standards they would need to adhere to should they decide to enter the state. Section 25.4 and 25.5 would allow homeowners associations and what we call commercial habitational or like condominium associations to participate in or establish their own captive insurance programs, which is kind of like a form of self-insurance, primarily designed for, in this case, wildfire. So if a condo association can't get wildfire coverage, they could form a captive. It would be regulated by the state, by the division, and they could self-insure that risk essentially. And then Section 25.6, it proposes to eliminate a clause in an existing statute that says commercial habitational policy must cover all of the common areas and the individual units within like a condo association. So a condo owner is not allowed to go get their own coverage to cover the structure. So by eliminating this clause, we'd allow condo owners and other commercial habitational owners to get physical structure coverage for their individual units. That's the bulk of the amendment. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for the amendment and the removal of the fiscal note. I have a question that you may have to answer offline. With the, we know getting earthquake insurance is pricey. Do you know what the average policy is for maybe like a 2,000 square foot home for a fire policy? And if you don't have that answer, if you could just get that back to me, I'm just very curious as to what that's going to cost the consumers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Adam Plain for the record. Currently, we don't have specific fire policies allowed by statute, so we don't have any rate data that I'm aware of to compare it to. We could do a call to our participating insurers and try to get some information. I would imagine it would be on par with, maybe slightly more expensive than an earthquake policy. Nevada is somewhat of an earthquake-prone territory anyway, but we don't have firm data on that yet.
Well, thank you. And I know every season we go through fire season and we hear the stories of homeowners who've lost everything and had absolutely no protection. So, Assemblyman O'Neill, I appreciate you trying to find help for those Nevada residents that are going through that. Members, any questions on AB 376? The fiscal notes that were on the bill with the amendment have now been withdrawn, so there is no fiscal impact. And no general funds on this. Oh, Assemblymember Watts.
Thank you, Chair. And I think I just want to note this. I'll probably take this question offline because it is a little bit more policy related, and there's a lot of changes in the language in here. So I'll just follow up. I think the goal of making sure that we have some more options, particularly for folks that are facing loss of coverage for their homeowners insurance, especially in fire-prone areas, is important. I do have some questions about kind of how the division will evaluate some of these applications and ensuring that there's I appreciate the note about making sure those deceptive trade practice statutes are in place, but just also have some questions about what consumer protections will remain in place and what regulations may be suspended in kind of the sandbox. So I just wanted to get that on the record, but I'll take those questions offline. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then when you do get those answers, if you'd be kind enough to share them with the committee, that would be great. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Adam Plain, Nevada Division of Insurance. Assemblymember Watts, I can address at least some of that up front if you'd like. The way the sandbox program is proposed to work is when an insurer submits an application for a product under the sandbox program, they must explicitly state which statutes and regulations they would like to receive a waiver of and their justification for those waivers. So it would be a situation where the division would be able to evaluate each specific proposal on its own standalone merits. There would be no blanket waivers of any statutes or regulations provided.
Thank you. I do appreciate that, and I do see on page 6 of this amendment, it lists some of the things that have to be, I think, included in the application or the plan. I think, that's good. I think the one thing that I'll follow up on is clearly you put a lot of thought into this, and I don't want to impugn you at all, but I'm always trying to think about what are potential unintended consequences, and could this potentially create loopholes where certain companies and certain administrators could basically decide that they just want to put less regulations on property insurance. So that's the issue that I'll follow up on offline. Thank you.
Chair also P.K. O'Neill for the record. If I may add also, this is a pilot project. There's actually, if you look at Section 27, there's an expiration on it, so we can address it and then allow the legislature to permanently look at this in the future. That's also one of the protections we have. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for pointing that out. Members, any other questions? All right, not seeing any. I thank you both for presenting. And we will invite to the table anyone that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 376.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Leah Cartwright, LEA, CART, WRIGHT, here today on behalf of the American Property Casualty Insurance Association, APCAA. You should have a letter submitted as an exhibit that you can refer to, and I will definitely follow up offline with those of you who have policy concerns so we can discuss what this might look like. Because this is a money committee, APCAA is in support, and as this committee knows, the insurance premium tax is the fourth largest revenue generator in the state, and as DOI mentioned, there was some interest from other companies to come into this state, so we would see potentially an increase in insurance premium tax revenue were this to go through. The insurance industry appreciates the sponsor and the DOI working so diligently and so hard with us to find common ground on this language and this legislation. We do think it provides flexibility for both insurance industry and consumers. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go ahead.
Good morning, Chairman Monroe Moreno, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Cadence Matijevich, CADENCEMATIJEVICH, representing Washoe County. Here in support of Assembly Bill 376, we want to express our appreciation to Assemblymember O'Neill and the division for the work that they've done on the bill to allow the policy to continue while eliminating the fiscal impact. This is very important policy. This directly impacts residents of Washoe County. And particularly, I want to point out the amendments in sections 25.4 and 25.5 that pertain to condos, townhomes, and HOAs. That's particularly important for us because in our areas of our community, in the wildland-urban interface, those types of housing serve as workforce housing, and the availability of insurance for those homeowners is incredibly important for us, for the economies, particularly in Lake Tahoe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Amy Shogren, that's SHOGREN, with Black & Wadhams, representing the Nevada Insurance Council today. I'd like to echo the sentiments of my colleague, Ms. Cartwright, and thank the bill sponsor for this important piece of legislation, and we look forward to moving it. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Joseph Guild, G-U-I-L-D. Here representing State Farm Insurance and echoing all the support statements that have come before me. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else approach the table here in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone line. Do we have anyone on the phone that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 376?
To provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 376, please press star 9 to join the queue. Chair, we have no callers in support.
Thank you so much. We'll move to opposition. If there's anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 376, I invite you to the tables. And not seeing anyone approach the table here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, we'll again go to the phone line to see if we have anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 376.
To provide testimony in opposition to Assembly Bill 376, please press star 9 to join the queue. Chair, we have no callers in opposition.
Thank you so much. We'll move to neutral. If there's anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 376, I invite you to the tables. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Monroe Moreno and committee members. My name is Jim DeGraffenried from Douglas County, Nevada. I'm here on my own behalf in neutral to Assembly Bill 376. I want to thank the Assemblyman and his co-sponsors for this well-intentioned bill. We have done significant work with legislators this session to address the issue. Unfortunately, I don't believe that AB 376 is the correct solution. I've been an all-lines insurance broker and agency owner in Nevada for 24 years. I'm also licensed in California and Oregon. I don't have specific objections to AB 376, which is why I'm neutral, but I did want to provide my perspective as a longtime agent that deals with this issue every day. We have a serious problem with access to homeowners insurance in Nevada. We have an increasing number of homes that are uninsurable by any carrier at any price because most insurance companies have withdrawn from the high-risk zip codes in Nevada. That makes our market worse than California, where almost any home can be insured, although at a very high cost. Section 25.1 authorizes the wildfire-only policies and policies that exclude wildfire coverage, but it seems unlikely that any insurer would develop such products. Products excluding wildfire are of little value to consumers without a wildfire-specific product in the market because policies with major exclusions are not acceptable to lenders. No single insurance company will take on all the wildfire risk in the state. That wouldn't make business sense. A wildfire-only program requires the participation of all insurers to spread the risk to a manageable level, so it's not reasonable to expect that this bill would address our availability problems. The sandbox provisions don't do any harm, so there's no reason to oppose them, but they're unlikely to be a benefit. Insurance companies are in a difficult position. While they are currently profitable, the uncertainty associated with potential large-scale events could result in losses that could wipe out their profits many times over. As an example, in a presentation before the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Commerce and Labor in July of 24, Commissioner Kipper noted an insurer who has 584 homes insured in Incline Village, with a total insured value of approximately $1.4 billion. He further noted that this insurer's annual homeowners insurance profits are $5 to $10 million a year. That sounds very solid until you consider that the potential losses in that area could wipe out well over 100 years of profit in a single large event. In sum, because AB 376 isn't harmful and could possibly provide some minimal stabilization or other benefits, I'm neutral on its passage, but it's important to have realistic expectations about what the bill can do to address the growing problem of insurance availability in high-risk areas of Nevada. Thank you.
Thank you. See no one else here in Carson City to provide neutral testimony and no one at the table in Las Vegas. We'll go to the phone lines one last time to see if we have anyone who's joined us that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 376.
If you would like to testify in neutral for Assembly Bill 376, please press star 9 to join the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you so much, and we'll ask the sponsor of the bill if you have any closing comments. And he is saying thank you, no closing comments. So with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 376. And members, that takes us to the last bill that we will be able to hear this morning before our caucus and floor. We will stand in recess, and I will see you all later today in our next meeting. Please don't forget that we also have IFC this afternoon. We are in recess.